Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here's your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning, everybody. Christmas is just around the corner, and so this will be our last time to be with you before Christmas. And of course, we'll be with you again next Sunday as well. But this morning, a great treat for you and for me. Aaron Brown from St. Paul's United Methodist is with us today. It's kind of started to become a tradition the last few years that Aaron is with us for the Christmas show. So he is here, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of those famous questions that sometimes we get bombarded with, when Christmas time rolls around, especially if people don't know anything about it. And it's sometimes kind of entertaining. I did ask him if there's a different set of Methodist questions or Catholic questions, but what the heck? We're gonna talk about whatever happens to come up in terms of those questions surrounding Christmas that a lot of people have. So we're gonna be right back after a Mercy Minute with Reverend Aaron Brown from St. Paul's United Methodist. So don't go away.
Lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths in the U.S., and now we have an effective tool to screen for it. A low-dose CT uses a lower amount of radiation than a standard chest CT.
Breathe in.
Better detailed pictures than a chest x-ray of small abnormal areas of the lung. A person must be between 55 to 77 years old, asymptomatic, which means they don't have any symptoms such as coughing up blood, chronic cough, shortness of breath, unusual weight loss, or any other worrisome symptoms. They must also be a current smoker or have quit within the past 15 years, also must have a 30-pack year history or more, which equates to smoking 1 pack a day for 30 years, or 2 packs a day for 15 years. People generally avoid these scans possibly due to fear of what could be found. Like many other cancers, if we can detect lung cancer early, it could be very treatable and life-saving.
Well, again, everybody, thanks for joining us for another Sunday morning of Faith in Our Hometown, especially so close to Christmas. Yeah. Aaron, welcome back.
It's good to be back.
It's always nice to have you here. I probably don't do it often enough, but
it's not that we don't try.
I know.
It's not just that the way you invite, and schedules are crazy.
Schedules are crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. There's one man that we're going to have on probably in a couple weeks, and he has been rescheduled. I think he has the Faith in Our Hometown record for being canceled and rescheduled several times. So
I'm glad he holds it and
you're not even in the running right now.
I'm glad he holds it and not me, whoever that is. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, hey, I think we should, you asked me, what do you want to talk about? Christmas is here, coming up in 5 days. And I thought, well, let's just ask some questions that people, whether they're people of faith or not yet faith or had faith or whatever, but the people might be asking, and not might be, but are asking.
Well, I'm amazed, and we think we live in this, post-Christian culture now, and there's just a lot of people out there that just don't really have any idea why some of us hold Christmas to be so special, or what it is, because it's really turned into something kind of different for the broader culture. But for those of us who are Christian, those of us who worship regularly, and Christmas is supposed to have its own special kind of unique feel to it. And a lot of people don't understand that at all.
Yeah. And that's my first question that someone might ask. What is the meaning of Christmas? And of course, that's going to be different if you look at it from a religious point of view. And oh, by the way, we haven't rehearsed these questions. So he doesn't know what I brought, other than I quick ran through them. But we haven't talked about this, so we may come from different places in answering these.
Yeah,
and that's the first question I brought.
And I mean, because you can answer that question. What is the meaning of Christmas?
Right.
And so you can answer it in a philosophical sense, a theological sense, a cultural sense, just down deep in my heart what it means.
Well, we are pastors here, so let's answer it as pastors. So what? I mean, what do you think? How would you answer that? Quick sentence, 2 sentences. What is the meaning of Christmas?
For us, I'll speak as a Catholic priest, okay? For us, it's a celebration of the fact that God entered the world in time and space at a particular time to be with us in a unique way.
Yeah.
And so we celebrate his birth, and when we celebrate his birth, that's Christmas. I mean, it's just the fact that God shrank himself down and lived here on earth as one of us. And that's pretty phenomenal when you stop and think about it.
Yeah, I had the thought, hit me sometime this last year. I was talking about with somebody about the Big Bang, the idea that the entire universe came from a speck of matter that contained all of time and all of energy and all of matter and became all of what is. And I thought, man, that's sort of like what happened in Christmas, in the incarnation, as we call it, the incarnation, right? The enfleshment of God, the God of the universe, the God that is energy and space and time, came down to one point in one human being.
And that's still, after all these years, I mean, I'm almost 60 now, but after all these years, that still just so catches my imagination. That mystery of what that whole thing means. Yeah. I mean, and it's got new power every year. I mean, you'd think, oh, we've done all this before. We've celebrated. Oh, we've gotten all the meaning out of this we can. And I don't think while I'm still on this side, I'm ever going to just get past the depth of the mystery.
Right, and it's bigger. That's right. I think that's the other part of this is that Christmas is bigger than we can get our mind around. It's bigger than you could say it in a sentence. The celebration of God becoming human, one of us. But it's so much bigger than that.
Yeah. And again, for me, Christmas is real quiet in a real sense. Advent is probably my favorite of the seasons because that's about all the waiting that we've been doing the last few weeks. But Christmas is just so gentle and quiet when you stop to think about God shrinking himself down and becoming flesh. There's something just so...
I can tell you're excited.
I
can
am.
tell you love this.
Well,
you threw out a word there.
I love all this stuff.
You threw out a word that probably needs to be defined, and that's the word Advent.
Advent, coming. It's just our season of preparation that we spend 4 weeks before Christmas getting ready for the coming. Now we know he came in history already, and we know he comes to us all the time in different ways. But our season when we celebrate his birth, that it's in preparation for that. So, and again, it's kind of a twofold character. We get ready for celebrating Christmas, and we also celebrate the fact that he is going to come again at the end of time, whenever that's going to be.
Well, I love that Advent, the season of preparation, is the heart of the word adventure. That in what we're preparing for and celebrating the incarnation, the enfleshment of God, it really is, embracing that is the beginning of an adventure.
Yeah. Well, and it was for us ultimately for God the ultimate human adventure, and for us the ultimate adventure because now we've encountered Christ in a way that nobody ever had encountered God in that same way.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it is, and it is exciting. It's like I say, I think that's one of the reasons I enjoy our conversations is because when we start talking about this stuff, it's just fun to talk about it with somebody else who loves it the same way you do, and comes at it with just a little bit of a different,
maybe
viewpoint.
not yet. We're on the same
we're
page
on the same
so
point.
far.
But I'm just saying, and let's face it, we're both Christians, so we're gonna agree on 90% of it. There's about 10% in there that we would apply differently or practice differently, but most of it, any of us that are Christians should be able to agree on about 90% of it.
Okay, this question comes from Sally in South Dakota.
Okay.
Not really, but...
Okay, Sally, from South Dakota.
It came
South
out of my
Dakota,
head.
Sally.
But Sally asks, was Jesus born on December 25th?
Well, that's again one of those things where when we were in the time of Jesus, nobody ever kind of had birthdays to celebrate in quite that way. So can I bona fide, and in a real sense say, was it really December 25th? We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Couple different theories.
And we don't know because the story that we have of the birth of Christ doesn't give us a date.
Yeah.
Doesn't tell us what time of year.
And liturgically, I can tell you, liturgically meaning the way that we pray and the way that we worship, certainly in the history of Christianity, there's a couple theories as to how it came about, but probably the leading theory was it was probably, at the time, a celebration of, again, one of the Roman gods that was pretty popular at that point in time, that we kind of eventually piggybacked the birth of Jesus onto. Because what we were trying to do in our methods of evangelization in the first century was to say, well, you believe in all that Jesus was because you believe in, the light coming to the earth and, and all those good things and changing the world by the warmth and all those things. For us, that's Jesus. And so, we can celebrate that with you, but we won't be celebrating it by that name. We're going to be celebrating the name of Jesus. Well, that's how we evangelized in the first century. So we took what was probably started at a Roman feast and baptized it, like we did so many things throughout history. We baptized it, and eventually now the date's ours.
And part of that too is that Christians were such a tiny minority that and a persecuted minority in so many places for so many centuries, that for them to be able to kind of piggyback off of some of the Roman holidays, that was an easy way for them to say, I'm a Christian, as my pagan neighbors and friends are celebrating the solstice, the winter solstice, and light coming back to the earth, the end of darkness and the light is coming. That's a great time for me to celebrate that the Son, S-O-N, is also returning. And so I look at that and
light
think,
in the world in a completely different way.
Yeah. But because they were such a small minority, they had to kind of ride the wave of some of the current beliefs that were around them.
Well, and again, I just think it's in some ways, I just, when I'm evangelizing, I just try to find the areas we can agree on and try to figure out, well, what can we build together, from that point. And so, to me that, the old ways of evangelization are probably some of the new ways of evangelization, which basically say, you believe in good stuff? Here, I've got the epitome of this good stuff.
You love light? I love light.
It's all good. You like warmth? I like warmth. You like new life? I can do all that. And we got it. It's right here. We call him Jesus. And he was unique, and this is why we follow him. And then that's great. We can do that. So it's a win-win as far as I'm concerned, with that kind of thing. So, but what do we really have his birthday written down? Do we have, do we have Mary's? I mean, I'm being really facetious here, but do we have the Holy Family's Bible that's got the date written in the front of when Jesus was born? No, we don't have that. We got a lot of their stuff, but we don't have that.
Well, it's the Gospel of Luke that says, while the shepherds were in their fields watching their flocks by night. Well, when do they watch their flocks by night? Well, they will only watch them at night when they're giving birth, when the sheep are giving birth. They got to watch and make sure that the birth process. Well, when is that? It's more than likely sometime in the spring.
Yeah.
So, but we don't know.
And even the date and the year for Christmas. I mean, that we had.
Yeah, let's talk about the year.
Medieval. Well, we had some folks calculate to the best that they could, on the solar calendar, and they probably got, most of the experts now say it's probably about 3 years off. Somewhere in that vicinity. Yeah. So really, what we've now considered zero. Okay.
Year zero. Yeah.
It was probably 3.
Well, there's not a year 0. But the 0 point. Yeah.
So
3, 4 BC. Okay. Yeah, Jesus was born.
Yeah.
3 or 4, 5 BC, somewhere in there.
Somewhere in that vicinity.
Yeah. But I love the story behind that. That the monk, I think it was in the 4th century, that kind of began to go back and figure out the calendar that we use now. His name was Dionysius Exiguus, which means Dennis the Short.
Yes. And
Dennis
that
the
was
Short
one of them.
came up with our calendar, right?
That was part of it, and that was the forerunner of what later became the Gregorian calendar. Right. But that was a lot of the early homework was done at that point in time.
Right, and you just think, oh well, it's off. He was wrong. Well, give the guy some credit.
And this was back when we were one big happy family.
We still are.
Are we?
Well.
Sometimes I'd like to. Sometimes I don't think everybody gets the unity of Christianity. I mean, sometimes around here that bothers me a little bit, that we don't have more unity as Christians, because we're so busy touting our own. And I know we all think we're doing it the right way. Otherwise, we'd be doing it different. So at any rate, we got to take a break here. We're going to be right back after a quick break, so don't go away. We'll have more fun when you come back.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
Well, again, thanks for joining us for another riveting Sunday morning of Faith in Our Hometown. My guest this morning, Aaron Brown from St. Paul's United Methodist. So Aaron, thanks again for being here.
Christmas is coming.
Very fast, whether we're ready or not. As I always used to say to everybody, ready or not, it's coming. Here we go.
Yeah.
So we were talking, before the break about, timing and all those kinds of things, the unity of Christianity. So the unity of Christianity, sometimes I think we just compete way too much for market share instead of just all being our best selves. I think that'd appeal to everybody a whole lot better than us yammering at each other a lot.
Well, when I came into ministry, I used to think that other churches were the competition, so that, if another church, another denomination, was doing it better, then, oh my gosh, I had a little jealousy, a little envy, and, look at us, we were doing it better this way. And then I had one of those God moments where God's like, Aaron, what are you thinking? What are you doing? This is my body, and there are many parts of this, and that we're all trying to lead people to Christ in one way or another. And so I came to that harsh realization after being in ministry. I don't know how long, too long, but no, other churches are not our competition.
Right.
What is our competition? It's apathy and materialism and addiction and you name it. We've got all these other things that are competition, but it ain't other churches and it ain't other pastors. In fact, you know this, that the word priest means bridge builder, right?
The
pontifex.
Pontifex. The Pope's title is the great bridge builder.
But isn't the word priest also a part of the word pontifex? Bridge builder.
Well, they've got some tie-ins.
Just own it. Just own it, man.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll be a bridge builder.
Yeah, okay.
But you know what happens when you're a bridge builder? Everybody walks on you from both sides.
Right, but people get places. People connect from one place to another.
So we were talking before the show, and this is like before we were just sitting around yammering at each other. We were talking about
yammering at me. I was not yammering.
You're the one that brought up the meaning of the word religion.
Yeah, I just learned it today.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
So religion, to tie back to the greater reality, from the word the same root we use for ligament.
Religament to
retie, reconnect, and to the ultimate reality. So again, even to our brothers and sisters who are not Christian who are watching this morning, thanks for putting up with our, love for Christmas, and as it's coming. And again, we'll rejoice and send you a good greeting on your high holy days as well. But this is certainly one for us. So thanks for those of you that aren't Christian. Thanks for sticking with us this morning and hearing a few more of these great questions about Christmas. This is interesting.
You want some more? Okay.
Well,
Billy,
whatever. If you had another brilliant thought there,
Billy
you just go ahead and do it.
from upstate New York asks. I'm kidding. When did Christians start celebrating Christmas? We kind of, from what I understand, is around the 4th century. Because prior to that, people were more focused. People of the Christian faith were more focused on the resurrection. It was all about resurrection, all about Easter, all about that. And it wasn't until Constantine and Christianity kind of got the seal of approval.
Became legal, yeah.
And people began to say, hey, our God had a birthday. Why do we not celebrate that? And I think it was a parallel because other gods' birthdays were celebrated. And then it was also a theological issue that this God really did become flesh.
Right. That
this wasn't some sort of an illusion of fleshliness.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, we had some of the greatest fights in the history of Christianity about who Jesus is and what his nature was and all that stuff. Again, the history of where the dates and all that stuff comes from is really kind of complicated. But the point is that some places celebrated it more than other places, but it became more universal around that time. And then there's always other stuff being added to it, like, for example, the Christmas crib, especially the live nativity scenes and stuff like that. Do you guys do a live nativity?
We don't, no.
Okay. Well, one of my favorites is over at Carthage. I loved it when I was pastor of St. Anne's in Carthage too, because our kids would take part in the live nativity. I told them when I was leaving, I said, well, maybe, now with the plague, who knows? But at any rate, when it was great having the kids out there. Well, St. Francis of Assisi did that. So that was a much even later, centuries later, that idea of celebrating with a Christmas crib. The different traditions all come in at different points in time and different cultures.
And
and
Martin
mean different
Luther,
things.
I mean, the stories I've heard, Martin Luther is the one who kind of brought the Christmas tree inside and said, here's a symbol of evergreen, everlasting life. Let's put lights on it. Jesus being, one of his nicknames being light of the world. Let's bring it all together.
And see, and I, again, I'm not as close to Martin Luther as I am to some of my,
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Oops.
No, don't worry about it.
Oops.
We're okay. Remember, we were talking about that whole thing, but I'm just saying I had never heard that about Luther, which I think is great. And again, it was a very German tradition, and again, probably stolen from the pagans originally. Okay. Kind of like our Advent wreath, that big,
definitely
big fire wheels that they
lure
roll into
the sun back.
Oh yeah, well, you roll that fire wheel through, as we're preparing for the return of the light. I mean, all those things we stole some of those things, but I think in our best moments. Oh well, borrowed. But I mean, appropriated. As I used to say to my students, just like, Christianity was kind of like the Borg. Resistance was futile. You just kind of like, just go, we'll find a way of hooking you in there, okay? So there's for all you Star Trek, people out there. But at any rate, we brought some of those and we appropriated a lot of those things. And I mean, I think that those are some good moments for us. Yeah. Because we reached into some deeper symbolism that even, kind of even expanded beyond our vision of it. Of course, we like our vision, but I'm just saying I love that we actually were able to appropriate some of those things and say to somebody else, well, here's a similarity between the way that you were looking at things and the way that we now look at things. I think that's a win-win for everybody.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Lev from Kiev.
We got foreign people
sounds like
now
the start
watching
of a
I like it.
limerick.
It's just like,
But he asks, what's your favorite Christmas song?
Huh.
Do you have a hymn, a favorite, or secular song?
Wow, I've got a lot. I'm just going to answer the question because it's one of my answers. Okay. There is a song, "In the Deep Midwinter," which was a song.
In the deep or in the
bleak?
The deep.
Either one. I mean, I've heard it translated both ways. It was originally written in French, so everything we're getting is a little bit of a translation. But it was written by a French Jesuit.
Midwinter.
That's the one written by.
That's the one. Favorite one too.
Really?
Totally.
Well, it's an American hymn.
That is crazy.
Okay, it's an American hymn, and it was written by a French Jesuit who became one of the first Christian martyrs here in the New World. Wow. And the Jesuits came to New France, and they established, these things, the missions to the Hurons and a few of the other tribes. Okay, and he wrote that song as a part of catechism to talk about Jesus being born in the middle of the winter. And that poetry has lasted all these years. I think it's a gorgeous song.
I find that strange that we have the same favorite song.
Well, I mean, I
have
that's
a new
my
one
answer
though,
this
too,
week.
A new old one.
Yeah, well.
Could change?
It could change.
A couple of years ago, I started to really be drawn to, I heard the bells on Christmas Eve, which is a poem that was written around the Civil War era. And how, is God dead? Because the country had been so devastated by war and battle and brother fighting brother and family. And I heard the bells on Christmas Eve, and God is not dead. And I just, it was powerful.
Brother, there's a whole sermon
dead.
On that about hope not being dead. Because we're still divided, and I have to hope that we can bring some of this back together again. We got different opinions on the way the country ought to be run. I get that. We always have. But
always will.
But what about our unity? What about where can we put some of it aside and strive for unity and strive to make the country better and to strive to make each other better and hold each other up rather than push each other down and aside? I'm just saying I love. I mean, I'm getting sentimental in my old age, but I love
You're not old.
Some of these.
No.
Well, I'm going to be 60 here in a couple of months. So, but I mean, I've got to have more reason to hope.
Yeah. Well, someone once said, in the essentials, when it came to the division among Christians. In the essentials, unity. In the non-essentials, diversity. In all things, charity.
That was a pope that said that.
Okay, I'll give him credit.
I
Say
he
who
did
it
a
is.
good job. He did a good job.
Yeah.
John the 23rd, Pope John the 23rd, who was pope when I was born. Okay.
Well,
no, I'm
John
sorry,
Wesley.
he came
John
right
Wesley
after.
said it before then. So,
Well, he said
and
more
I
of the
think
same
it was
thing.
Melanchthon who said it before him. So.
Really? See, there you go. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, but
It's all
in
good.
essentials, unity.
Yeah.
In the non-essentials,
Now,
diversity.
in all things, charity.
Charity.
Now, I'm going to ask you this: did Wesley say that way back when?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. See that John Paul John 23rd was
quoting.
quoting him.
Well, but
They're
Wesley was
each other,
quoting
which is
somebody
good.
else besides.
Quoting, but who knows? But they were all smart for using it.
They were. They
Yeah.
knew what they were talking about. And
Yeah.
back in Wesley's day, it was, people who believed in predestination and those who didn't. They fought. They had literal fights over that. And that's when Wesley said, "Hey, let's have some unity. We don't have to have uniformity. If we have the unity in the essentials, take my hand. Let's go change the world. But we don't have to think the same. We can have
Yeah.
unity without uniformity."
Yeah, well, that's good. See, it's nice to know that I've got, they had some wrong information through these years. So it's good. It's always good. See, it's always good talking to you. I always learn
Right,
something.
Lev from Kiev is making
Lev from
notes
Kiev.
right now.
I'm sorry. I just got a signal, and I got to figure out how much time I got left. So okay. Well, we're wrapping up, Aaron. I don't know that we're going to have any time for any more questions, but I am telling you, my friend, that one of my great Christmas gifts this year is that we actually got to spend this half hour together.
Finally.
We're doing good.
Merry
so
Christmas
we're going
to
to be
you.
right back after this Mercy Minute, so don't go away.
Blessings and greetings of Mercy to you. My name is Anna Nichols. I am a Sister of Mercy and currently the leader of Heritage and Spirituality at Mercy International Association. I love the fact that sisters throughout time have gone where they have been called to go, and they have often picked up ministries that they never intended to pick up. 25 years ago, there were 22,000 Sisters of Mercy globally. Today we're down to about 6,200 with Sister Rock and some of the others. But despite the fact there are 6,500 or 6,200 sisters left, there is an amazing number of women and men of Mercy who are working alongside us, and that continues to expand, and for me that is incredibly exciting. So as far as National Catholic Sisters Week, I really look at the legacy that they have passed on and the fact that so many women, men, young people are living Mercy today. That really is for me what's significant.
Well, as we approach Christmas, I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you that watch every week. I appreciate all of the feedback that you give us. I appreciate the good wishes that come your way. And I hope that you feel those good wishes coming from all of us here at Faith at Our Hometown. Aaron and I enjoy what we do, and it's so much fun talking about it, and it's so much fun sharing some of that time with you. So I was very blessed to spend that with Aaron Brown from First United Methodist. St. Paul's. It's true. First is done by St. Paul's United Methodist. I don't care where. But at any rate, we're going to be wishing you and your families the merriest of Christmases from where we are, and we'll be praying for you. God bless. I do hope and pray that you find a good way to celebrate this year, whatever that happens to be. If you don't have a church family, go over to St. Paul's. Come visit us. Just find a spot if you want to celebrate Christmas. Everybody will open their doors, I hope and pray. God bless. Merry Christmas. Join us next week for Faith in Our Hometown.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.